So, hello all. This is Dr. Anjali Srivastava, retired zoology professor, and this is my YouTube channel, Adarsh Alia. Our today's topic is classification of hormones. जो हम चार वीडियोस की सीरीज एंडोक्राइनोलॉजी पे डिस्कस करने वाले हैं, जिसमें पहला हम कर चुके हैं, that is the different types of endocrine glands and their hormones. Today we are going to see classification of hormones. In my next video we will see the mechanism of action of hormones on the surface, and the fourth will be the hormonal disorders. So classification of hormones. Just to this chart shows what we have seen in the last class. Hormones are secreted in very small amount by the ductless glands, which put their secretions into the bloodstream and these hormones are of various chemical natures. Definitely they are formed of certain chemicals, and once they are kept into they are flown into their circulatory medium, sometimes they act directly also. That is here, this is the hormones. Just a quick review. Hormones are body chemical messengers. They act as the chemical messengers. Messenger का काम करते हैं brain के message को through the hypothalamus. They reach the major endocrine glands, and from there they reach the target organs and tissues and cells, जहाँ पर से वो सारे body के every type of work, every nature of work they control. That is the growth and development, metabolism, पूरी metabolic activities को control करते हैं ये hormones through different mechanisms. Then sexual function, reproduction, mood and behavior. These activities are controlled by these hormones, which are produced by the ductless glands and brought to the target organs through the blood. And the organs that secrete them are the endocrine glands, which are a special group of cells. And these major endocrine glands are it starts with the hypothalamus. ये सारा हम लोग लास्ट क्लास में देख चुके हैं. ये हम जस्ट एक क्विक रिव्यू करने जा रहे हैं हॉर्मोन्स के क्लासिफिकेशन के पहले. Hypothalamus, pituitary, pineal, thymus, thyroid, adrenal glands, and pancreas, plus certain tissues and cells. These are all we have seen in the last class. बार बार मैं ये बता रही हूँ. In addition, men produce hormones in their testes and women produce them in ovaries, and also certain pregnancy hormones in addition if pregnancy exists. So these are the list of functions that hormones do that we have already seen. The hormones are very powerful means of controlling the metabolic activities of the cell. Rather, every type of controlling mechanism of the cell, maintaining the homeostasis, and all other metabolic activities, reproduction, behavior, everything. And how it is tested, कैसे measure करके hormonal level को कर सकते हैं, इसके लिए बहुत सारे test methods available हैं. That we will see when we will see the hormonal disorders, और उसमें pathological section जब हम देखेंगे. Now let us come before going to the classificational aspect, just a minute to review. These are the hormones and their source of production and their mode of action according to three categories. So the first is the hypothalamus releases a hormone to stimulate or to stop hormones being produced in the pituitary gland. Pituitary gland तक पहुंचता है. This is number one. This is the number one point. Hypothalamus, it releases several type of hormones to the anterior and posterior pituitary. The second number is the pituitary releases hormones that stimulate the other glands. These are the other glands which are stimulated by this pituitary. That is, these endocrine glands are their function, their regulation is under control of the master gland, that is the pituitary. This is anterior and posterior. And the third is the manager glands release hormones that stimulate target cells throughout the body. This will be the third part. That is, all these are the manager glands that are producing. And one more thing you must be noticing, central nervous system through the hypothalamus, it is controlling and working in coordination, maintaining the coordination work of the body through the hypothalamus, and then in turn to through the pituitary. But this central nervous system directly controls the adrenal medulla. This is the only part of the adrenal gland and of the endocrinal system, apart from the pituitary, that is directly under control of central nervous system, adrenal medulla, that secretes the epinephrine and norepinephrine hormones. These hormones we will see. Now, under the heading broad classification, if we go to the classification, how many types of hormones are there? There are 5 major categories or 5 major uh, types under which we are going to see the different categories and different classes of hormones. But broadly speaking, broad classification में हम hormones को 2 broader types में divide कर सकते हैं, hydrophilic hormones and lipophilic hormones. Hydrophilic hormones are the water soluble hormones. They are the peptides and proteins and amines and certain other hormones. And lipophilic hormones are lipid soluble hormones. These are mainly the steroids, sex hormones, and the thyroid hormones that we will see in the coming slides. So let us come to the now the classification of the hormone, which on these 5 bases, on these 5 grounds, the hormones have been variously classified. First is that can be said it is the most important type. Hormones are the chemicals. Hormones, enzymes, जो भी gland secrete करते हैं, ये हम पहले भी देख चुके हैं कि वो कुछ chemicals होते हैं और major part या तो proteins होते हैं या lipid होते हैं. तो chemical nature के basis पर hormones are of 5 types. There are different views. कहीं पे 2 तरह के बताया गया, कहीं 3 तरह के. But as I have seen, we have seen just now कि 2 broader categories हैं उनके constituents के basis पर उसी constituent को जो protein and lipid जो 2 basic constituents हैं, उनमें कुछ mix करके या कुछ particular nature के हिसाब से और 3 types add करके मैं 5 type के आपको chemical nature के basis पे we will see 5 types of hormones. Then on the basis of the mechanism of action of the hormones, we will see this mechanism of action of hormone. हमें पूरा एक वीडियो देखना है. आज हम देखेंगे this on the basis of this how the hormones act and how they bring the changes into the cell or the tissue जहाँ वो काम कर रहे हैं, target organs पर जहाँ cell signaling के through वो action में आते हैं, उस basis पे hormones 2 तरह के होते हैं, group 1 hormone, group 2 hormone. Then comes the nature of action. On the basis of the nature of action, the hormones are of, that is also called, may be called as the place or the surface where they act. And that is the 3 types of hormones are on the basis of nature of action, autocrine or intracrine, then paracrine, and then endocrine. Then on the basis of their effects, how they are affecting the different activities of the body, they are of 3 types, kinetic, और let us see, एक बार में हम देख लेते हैं details. अभी हम खाली यहाँ पे details number देख लें. They are again of 3 types: kinetic hormones, metabolic hormones, and morphogenetic hormones. And then in the last, the stimulation of endocrine glands. Endocrine glands को वो stimulate करते हैं या non-endocrine places पर stimulate पर act करते हैं. उसके basis पर the hormones are of 2 types: the tropical hormones and non-tropical hormones. So these are the different basic bases on which the hormones have been differently classified. The first category includes the chemical, on the basis of the chemical nature of hormones, and this has been divided into 6 classes. But in our upcoming slides, we will see 5 classes. यहाँ पे हम 5 classes देखेंगे because peptide and proteins are, as per their functions, as per their chemical nature, they are very much that they can be compacted in one group. So steroids, amines, peptides and proteins, glycoproteins, and eicosanoid hormones. These are also somewhere in some of the classes that they have been referred as the miscellaneous hormones. Eicosanoids also have been referred in some of the books and some at some of the places as the miscellaneous hormones. So this is, let us start with the chemical nature of hormones. Chemically, the hormones, let's start with here. As I have told you, अगर हम एक बार so as we are doing, just in one slide, I am giving in short the chemical nature or the chemical the classification on the basis of chemical nature, or it is already I've given. Just to explain in very short, we can see this: the hormones can be divided into the hormones को chemical nature basis पे अगर हम divide करें तो the types we will see separately. What is the meaning of their chemical division? On the basis of this division, we can divide into, as we have just seen, 5 तरह के hormones में हम divide कर सकते हैं chemical basis पे. First are the lipophilic hormones, that are lipid soluble hormones. Lipid soluble hormones, they act as the first messenger hormones. They are, आप जानते हैं, सेल मेम्ब्रेन पर बने होते हैं, बाइलिपिड लेयर्स होते हैं, दो बाइलिपिड लेयर होता है, दो लिपिड के लेयर्स होते हैं, और इन जो हार्मोन्स लिपिड में सॉल्युबल हैं, they can directly pass across this hormone and they combine, they activate here. The receptors are activated, and that we will see when we will do the mechanism of action of hormone. This hormone receptor complex बनता है. ये अभी हम effect of the classification of hormones on the basis of their reception, we will see mechanism के basis पर. Lipid soluble hormones are mainly of 3 types. They are common, mainly इनको हम कहते हैं steroids. They are the lipids. Steroid के नाम से आपको याद आ रहा होगा, steroids बहुत आप एथलीट्स के लिए बहुत बार आप सुनते रहते होंगे कि फलाने ने स्टेरॉइड लेकर के अपने आप को एक्टिवेट किया और डिस्कार्ड कर दिया गया. So as you can understand, steroids are short lived, बहुत तेजी से काम करते हैं और बहुत कम समय के लिए इनका एक्शन रहता है. These steroids, they are इनके details just we can see that these lipid soluble hormones are steroids. Then the thyroid hormones, and third type of hormones are the gases. This is the only type of hormone, that is the nitric oxide, that acts as a hormone and it is secreted by the endothelial cells of blood vessels, that I have already given in one slide when we will complete this nature. This division, the type of hormone on the basis of their chemical nature, जहाँ पे ये खत्म हो रहा है, वहाँ एक slide में मैंने पूरा classification आपको दे दिया. So these are the lipid soluble hormones. Then are the lipophobic or hydrophilic hormones. Hydrophilic hormones, they are water soluble hormones. They are soluble in water, so but they are not soluble in lipid. So when इनको कैरी करके अंदर ले जाने के लिए सेकेंडरी मैसेंजर की जरूरत होती है, जो अंदर जाकर के जिनके साथ ये कॉम्प्लेक्स बनाते हैं, वो हम मैकेनिज्म के समय देखेंगे. These are mainly the peptides. These hormones are mainly the peptides and proteins. The peptides are formed of amino acid chain. ये आप सेल बायोलॉजी में पढ़ी होंगी. डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ अमाइनो एसिड्स हैं जो एक के बाद एक फॉस्फेट बॉन्ड से जुड़ते हैं, पॉलीपेप्टाइड बॉन्ड से जुड़ते हैं, एंड दैट मे बी एज शॉर्ट एज 3 अमाइनो एसिड के भी बने हुए ऐसे हार्मोन्स हो सकते हैं. 3 to अराउंड 100 अमाइनो एसिड्स के जो चेन बने हुए होते हैं, दे आर द पेप्टाइड हार्मोन्स. और more than 100 amino acids they are linked together with the peptide bond, and then they are folded and refolded, forming the proteins. So they are the protein hormones. Now, which are these hormones that we will just now see. एक बार हम ये classifications खत्म कर दें. Then third type of hormones are amines. These amines are again formed of amino acid, but not amino acids. These are formed of amino acids. सिर्फ एक तरह के amino acid के कई molecules मिलकर के बनाते हैं, and that amino acid is tryptophan or tyrosine. ये tryptophan या tyrosine एक amino acid है जो बनाता है इस तरह के हार्मोन को. और इस तरह के हार्मोन की एक्चुअली दो कैटेगरी होती है. एक इज फर्स्ट टाइप इज soluble in protein soluble, that may be called as the peptide. प्रोटीन नहीं होता है, पेप्टाइड होता है, शॉर्ट चेन्स होते हैं. और दूसरा टाइप होता है स्टेरॉइड. What are these hormones that we will see just now. Then the fourth type is these glycoproteins. They are again proteins. इसीलिए दो broader category को भी हम गलत नहीं कह सकते हैं. प्रोटीन के ही different types में amines and glycoproteins and eicosanoids को बहुत सारे classification में रखा गया है. These glycoproteins, as the name says, these glycoproteins are formed of the glucose plus protein molecules. They together form the glycoprotein molecules. And these glycoprotein, what are these glycoprotein hormones that we are going to see in the next chart. And the fifth type is the miscellaneous. As I have told you, this is kept as the miscellaneous or eicosanoids hormones. They are very particular type of hormones. They are derived from 20 carbon eicosine. Greek में eicosine 20 number को कहते हैं. तो 20 carbon polyunsaturated fatty acid or arachidonic acid. They are formed of arachidonic acid secreted by the mast cells, a type of lymphocytes or white blood vessels which secrete these hormones, and they are secreted in the connective tissue by these mast cells throughout the body. So this is the chemical nature that can be categorized into the 5 types. Here is the list of hormones in short in these 5 types. ये 3 classifications I have got in all 3 charts. The same things that I have already mentioned. These are the steroids. Steroids include the adrenal cortical hormones or the corticoids, then sex hormones. Sex hormones are the female sex hormones. Estrogen and progesterone. Male sex hormones are androgen and testosterone, or the main type of androgen is the testosterone. Then protein and peptide hormones are the peptide hormones, that is short chain. An example is there are many hormones in insulin, like glucagon. This is the glycogen. It is not correct here. It will be glucagon. The hormone is glucagon, secreted by pancreas. ये हम लोगों ने last class में देखा था. Then amino acid derivative, that is the thyroidal hormone. As I have told you, ये सिर्फ एक amino acid का है, tryptophan या tyrosine का. And then the eicosanoids. These are the miscellaneous hormones that include the prostaglandins, cytokinins, and there are certain more hormones that that are the LX, PG, LT, LX. These are hormones I have already given in the last, in one slide, the details I have written. Prostaglandin, then thromboxanes, then leukotrans, then lipoxins. These are the 4 types of hormones that are included in this eicosanoids. And there are certain more hormones of different categories chemical nature पे, जो कि gastrointestinal tracts, liver, kidney, adipose tissue और microbes के द्वारा भी secrete किए जाते हैं, that we have seen in the last class. So these are the different types of hormones. Here also in this chart also, you can take the screenshots or you can note down all these types of hormones for your notes. So these are the 3 different ways in which the chemical nature of hormones we have seen. Now this is the structure, the organic structure and the hydroxyl group के basis पर ये hormone के classes का structure आप कैसे show कर सकते हैं. This is the norepinephrine. Norepinephrine hormone एक example से एक example से बताया हुआ है. These are the groups of these are the components of such hormones. This is the norepinephrine, which includes the hydroxyl group connected with the carbon rings and the nitrogen bonds. Here is the amine hormone. This is thyroxine, एक amino acid है. Tryptophan या thyroxine से बने हुए hormones हैं. Then peptide hormones, different amino acids, and they are connected through the peptide bond in form of the peptide chain, which if it folds, oxytocin है, insulin होता है, जो large chains के बने हुए होते हैं, proteins they are. Then are the steroid hormones, जिसके 2 example यहाँ पे हैं, testosterone and progesterone. The one remarkable thing इनमें जो 4 या 5 carbon rings हो सकते हैं, यहाँ testosterone में 4 rings हैं, जिनमें 3 are the hexagonal rings, whereas this 4th one is pentagonal ring. वैसे ही प्रोजेस्टेरॉन में भी 3 hexagonal rings हैं और 4th pentagonal ring है. Likewise, अलग-अलग hormones में rings के number vary कर सकते हैं, but this is true कि एक उनमें pentagonal ring होता है 5 carbon atom का और बाकी के 6 carbon atom के. So this is the organic structure of the hormones of this type. This is the steroid hormones का, these तीनों तरह के hormones का basic organic structure we have seen. So now this is on the basis of chemical nature of hormones. We have this is the more explanatory explanation of the chemical nature के basis पर कौन-कौन से hormones आते हैं. This category are divided into 6 classes. Chemical nature के basis पर जो hormones हैं, इनको फिर से हम 6 classes में बांट सकते हैं या 5 classes में, that we have seen: steroid, amine, peptide, protein, glycoprotein, and eicosanoids. The names of the hormones are now written over in these slides. You can go through these slides for the names of the hormones. The hormones, the steroid hormones, they have been divided into 3 types. The sex hormones produced by the male sex and the female sex. Then are the adrenal cortex hormones. ये क्या-क्या हैं, ये हम लोगों ने last class में देखा हुआ है. The glucocorticoids and mineralocorticoids. These are the 2 major groups of the adrenal cortex hormones, which include a number of hormones that we have already seen. Then the 3rd type of steroid hormones are the placenta hormones. Pregnancy के अगर होती है, gestation के दौरान ये hormones secrete किए जाते हैं, and that mainly includes the progesterone and the prolactin that secretes, that enhances the production of milk. So this is the placenta hormone. It also produces 2 steroid hormones, estrogen and progesterone, that maintains the pregnancy. So these are the steroid hormones. Then are the amine hormones that originate from amino acid tryptophan or tyrosine, and these hormones include, they are derived from cholesterol, lipid precursor, of all the lipid soluble hormones are the cholesterol. These all are formed of they are lipid soluble, and amino acid hormones are, there are a few amino acid hormones that are water soluble also, as I have already told you. The example of amino hormone derived from tryptophan are the proteinous in nature, and that is the melatonin, while tyrosine or steroidal in nature derivatives include the adrenal hormones and catecholamines. Catecholamines अगर आपको याद हो, हमने पिछले क्लास में देखा था CCK. यहाँ पे these are again these catecholamines include certain adrenal hormones, medullary and cortical hormones, which are the nephrine and norepinephrine hormones. So these are the examples of amine hormones. Then comes the peptide hormones made up of few amino acids, as I have told you, 3 से 100 तक के बने हुए जो hormones होते हैं. The best examples are oxytocin and vasopressin, whereas the protein hormones are built up of large number of amino acid residues, peptide bonds जिनकी folding in folding से struck different types of proteins बनते हैं. And the major protein hormones are insulin, glucagon, and somatotropins. Somatotropins, if you remember, these are the growth hormones. The insulin and glucagons are secreted by the pancreas. Then are the glycoprotein hormones, conjugated protein bound to carbohydrate, which include galactose, mannose, and fructose. These are the examples are, these are the types of sugar which with the protein they combine to form the these hormones. And the examples are the luteinizing hormones, follicular stimulating hormone, and thyroid stimulating hormone. That is LH, FSH, and TSH, produced by anterior pituitary. All these hormones are produced by anterior pituitary. And the last type is the eicosanoid hormones, made up of small fatty acid derivatives with a variety of arachidonic acids. The example is prostaglandins, and in this slide I have already given the list of all these hormones. The eicosanoid hormones include the prostaglandin, then that is PG, then thromboxanes, TX, then leukotrienes, then LT, lipoxins, LX, and they are produced by the mast cells, which are a type of WBC found in connective tissue of the whole body. These eicosanoids are derived from 20 carbon polyunsaturated fatty acid or arachidonic acid. So this is the different types of hormones based on the chemical nature. Now, another type, the classification of hormone on the basis of action of hormones. These are, I've already mentioned you, group 1 hormones and group 2 hormones. Group 1 hormones are group of lipophilic hormones, जो lipids में soluble हैं, and they are derived from cholesterol. Already I have told you, lipid soluble जितने भी hormones हैं, they are formed by the precursor of the lipid, that is the cholesterol, except T3 and T4 जहाँ पे कोलेस्ट्रॉल नहीं होता, इसीलिए T3 and T4 का एक अलग ग्रुप है amines में जिनको रखा गया. These hormones bind to intracellular receptors, thereby forming hormone receptor complex. So in very short, I'm just mentioning you, this is the plasma membrane, and say this is the hormone molecule. It enters through it, this is the bilipid molecule of plasma membrane. Bilipid layer, यहाँ से hormone enter करता है, यहाँ पर activate होते हैं cytoplasm में intracellular hormone receptor, and they form, this is, here is the hormonal molecule that acts as the primary messenger, or the first messenger. It combines with the hormone receptor, forming the hormone and hormone receptor complex, that is the intracellular receptor. Cell के अंदर ये receptor complex बनता है, it passes through the nucleus and it activates, ये genome पे काम करता है, messenger RNA बनता है, transcription होता है, protein synthesis होती है, और gene का expression को affect करता है. So definitely genes पर affect करने वाले hormones lasting hormones होते हैं, and these are kept under the group 1 hormones. The details we will see when we are going to see the mechanism of action of hormone. Then are the group 2 hormones. These hormones are, they are the lipophobic hormones, हाइड्रोफिलिक हार्मोन्स, जो पानी से डिसॉल्व करते हैं, लिपिड को क्रॉस नहीं कर सकते हैं, इसलिए इनको प्लाज्मा मेम्ब्रेन से ही अंदर ले जाने के लिए रिसेप्टर की जरूरत होती है. प्लाज्मा मेम्ब्रेन पर ही ये रिसेप्टर्स, दे आर रिसीव्ड बाय द रिसेप्टर्स. यहाँ प्लाज्मा मेम्ब्रेन है, यहाँ पर ये रिसेप्टर्स हैं. दीज हार्मोन आर फिट इनटू द फैसेट्स ऑफ दीज receptors, forming the hormone receptor complex, and this is the first response when they create the second messenger. These hormones, they create or they stimulate or they activate the second messenger. So here is the second messenger topic जो आपको पढ़ना है, उसमें second messenger पढ़ना है. Sorry, which are of different types, that may be cyclic AMP or calcium or unknown nature के, most probably that is the GMP types are, and they are then produced, the biochemical response is generated into the now they reach the nucleus and then they affect the genome and the further actions. Now these group 2 hormones can be divided into 3 subcategories, that is cyclic AMP, phospholipid or calcium, and unknown or the cyclic GMP molecules. So this is was on the basis of the mechanism of action of hormone. Then third category is on the basis of nature of hormones. Hormones का nature कहाँ वो काम कर रहे हैं. Some first type is local hormones. They are acting locally. That may be the paracrine secretion or autocrine secretion. These are, यहाँ इनको act करने के लिए blood की जरूरत नहीं होती है. Either the blood autocrine hormones are those hormones which are secreted by the cell itself. It could cell itself produces and then it affects the concern activity, or they are acting on the neighborhood cells, जो बिल्कुल पास में cells हैं जहाँ ये प्रोड्यूस हुए हैं, जिन सेल्स से ये प्रोड्यूस हुए हैं उनके बिल्कुल पास में जो सेल्स हैं उन पर एक्ट करना है. द एग्जांपल, द बेस्ट एग्जांपल इज टेस्टोस्टेरोन हार्मोन प्रोड्यूस्ड एंड एक्टिंग बाय the cells of the interstitial cells, and they are affecting the seminal vesicular cells. Then are the general hormones or the endocrine hormones, which pass to the target surface जहाँ पे उनको वर्क करना है through the blood circulation, and that these are the typical endocrinal secretions, endocrinal hormones. So that is the third classification. On the fourth basis of classification of hormones is on the basis of effect of hormones. ये hormones किस तरह का effect कहाँ डाल रहे हैं. On the basis they are of 3 types: kinetic hormones, metabolic hormones, and morphogenetic hormones. The kinetic hormones cause muscle contraction, pigment migration. Kinetic, you can understand energy related activities are shown by these hormones. They are causing glandular secretion and others. The best example is epinephrine. Then are the metabolic hormones that mainly cause changes in the rate of metabolism and balance the reactions. The examples are insulin, glucagon, parathyroid hormones. Then the third type are the morphogenetic hormones, which mainly involved in growth and differentiation actions of the body. The examples are FSH, LH, and thyroid hormones. So this is the third category of hormones. And the last but not least, the hormones have been categorized into 2 types on the basis of stimulation of endocrine glands. Endocrine glands को how these hormones are stimulating, either they are stimulating the endocrine glands itself, एक बार जहाँ से वो produce होते हैं उसके बाद फिर आकर के वो endocrine glands को stimulate करते हैं. Then they are the tropic hormones, and once they produce, the examples are TSH, which stimulates secretion of thyroid gland for production of thyroid hormones. So these are the tropic hormones, that is thyroid stimulating hormone. Then non-tropic hormones are hormones usually exert their effect on non-endocrinal target tissue, जो उन tissues पे act करते हैं जो खुद endocrinal tissues नहीं हैं. The examples are thyroid hormones, which increase the rate of oxygen consumption and metabolic activities of different cells in the body. So this is the different types of hormones classified in different ways depending on the different groups. Now, this is a short chart of the different types of hormones chemical basis पे. यहाँ पे steroid hormones यहाँ कहाँ से produce होते हैं, site of secretion के साथ ही chart दिया हुआ है. This will help you in very much in making and preparing your notes. So with this, this chapter is completed. We will see in the next part is very important how these hormones act affected by the cell signaling process and the receptors, hormone receptors, what are the type of receptors and how they act. That is the mechanism of action of hormone, including the negative feedback mechanism. So I hope this will satisfy you. This video will satisfy you. You will like it. If you do so, do like, share, and subscribe my channel, and press the bell icon to get notification of the upcoming videos. I'm trying to, because I haven't yet received the desired amount of subscriptions, मैं जनरल लिंक यूट्यूब के थ्रू सारे व्यूअर्स के लिए नहीं डाल पा रही हूँ, इसलिए व्यूअर्स के अलग अलग तरह के क्वेरीज जो आ रहे हैं, मैं ट्राई कर रही हूँ कि कमेंट बॉक्स में अगर छोटे छोटे क्वेरीज हैं तो कमेंट बॉक्स में ही लिखूं, और बड़े क्वेरीज हैं तो उन पे छोटे छोटे वीडियोस बना के कैरियर ऑप्शंस में डालूं. सो ऐसा ही एक वीडियो मैं बनाने की कोशिश जल्दी से जल्दी कर रही हूँ, कल परसों तक में ही. That is one query I have received. The options in microbiology. It is not written that whether after BSc or after MSc. तो मैं together ही एक वीडियो बना लूँ. Thank you so much. See you soon.